family's choice, and government shouldn't be there. It's simple as that.
I'm for pro-life from birth to death. I'm totally against the death penalty. I believe that women do have a choice. They know whether or not they're are ready to if having sex will produce a child or not. If they do that knowingly, I think they know the responsibility of that child. If they don't, if, for instance, rape or they have no say in it, I believe that woman should be allowed to abort that fetus. But if they have a say right up front, I think they have the responsibility to that child.
Dick, I don't think government has a role in that, and I don't know how I would explain why something like that would be good for somebody's health, but I believe in a woman's right to choose, and that choice is made with by that woman and probably her doctor, her health professional.
Thank you.
How does forcing a woman to bear a child, how is it good for a woman's health?
Yes.
It's not good for a woman's health. It's not. Now, we need to do all we can to reduce unwanted pregnancies. We do that through education. We do that through access to birth control. We do that by passing legislation like Debbie and I did that actually allows you to get a whole year's worth of birth control rather than just a month at a time, which is expected to reduce unwanted pregnancies by as much as 20%. You know, the question had to do with choice, and I'm pro-choice. But the question is bigger than that, because it's not just a matter of whether it's legal, it's also a question of whether it's accessible. And too often we're finding that medical providers out here at the coast don't provide these options for women. We don't provide pregnancy termination, you know, we don't provide assisted suicide either. And that means that people that are in these very dire circumstances have to leave the area and find options elsewhere. And that's something that we need to address. Not only the legality of the issue, but the accessibility of the issue.
And because forums are this great opportunity to have this complete mishmash of questions, we're not going to move to roads. Okay, so it's this the beauty of how we work these things. So this is your last question, and then you'll have your time to sum up. What will you do for the roads, both state and county, which are badly deteriorating? Many of the roads are not safe. They're not safe for bicycles, but ODOT encourages them to visit. Can we license them, and why not, if the answer is no? There's several questions in there, I appreciate that. But license the bikes. License the bikes.
I don't know. I'm a bike rider, so I don't know anything against that.
Maybe you should focus on the road, Al.
I think what we need to do is definitely repave 101. It was awful coming down here.
Well, I'm looking forward to our transportation package that we have. That's one of the strongest promises I've ever heard out of so many people in the legislature. We will not leave without it, something like that. And we only can affect the state roads. The counties have their own roads, but we can help them in that sense. And as far as licensing bicycles, I don't really care. It's not, I mean, I think that's fair to do. We've talked about licensing canoes and non-motorized boat, you know, watercraft, etc., and waiting for paddle boards and everything, surfboards to get on there too. But these sorts of ways of funding things are often supported by the users anyway. They'll come to us and say, could you assess us, like the ATV riders assess their own fee so that they can help with the trails in our parks.
Well, look, here in Tillamook County, we got potholes that are so old and familiar, we've given them names. And yes, we've got a special committee that needs to come up with a transportation plan, and yes, we need to pass it. And none of the options are going to be very pretty or very attractive. The problem in a nutshell is that we're driving more fuel-efficient vehicles, and that's good. We're using bicycles and mass transit more, and that's good. We're using vehicles that don't use gasoline, and that's good. And we're collecting less money through gasoline taxes, and that's bad. So we're going to increase the gasoline tax, increase the registration fees, talk about toll roads, talk about taxing bicycles and canoes. that is going to pass in the legislature and also pass when it comes back on likely referral, so that all of you will get to endorse our decision. Hard choices are ahead, but there are also hard issues that we don't, particularly out here at the coast where we need to prepare for that earthquake. Remember I mentioned that at the beginning of the evening? Because money spent now is going to save. The members of the Transportation Committee last week, and he said, you know, I noticed that your district has got a lot more road work going on than my district does. And I said, yeah, that's because more of your constituents drive on my roads than my constituents drive on your roads.
It's funny how when we talk about transportation packages, the thought is to asphalt. In the Senate District 5, there are ports, and just as important and opportunities for economic development and huge job growth are our ports, which are. So I would agree that if it's a priority, and I believe it is, we fund it like a priority and make those tough choices. And it's going to come from a lot of painful areas, whether it's cuts or new taxes or anything else. But you have to work through it, and I think as Representative Gomberg has indicated, it's a tough session to do. Everybody's not going to be happy, but what we're doing now with just a gas tax isn't enough.
So that wraps up the questions that were specifically directed towards the state positions. I was going to give you your 2 minutes to do your summation, but I would just like to thank you on behalf of AAUW, the Headlight Herald, the college, the audience. You have displayed grace and graciousness to one another, and it is a very refreshing change from what we've been watching on TV. And I'm sure that we all appreciate how you've handled yourselves here this evening. And so we started with Representative Gomberg to begin the evening, so we will start with you, Mr. Anderson.
And let me say again, thank you for organizing and putting this, and also, I think we're all disappointed that Senator Roblin and certainly Tom Donahue couldn't be with us. We wish him well and get back, because this is a tough time not to be on the campaign trail for Senator. What I want you to know is I'm an advocate for the coast. I've been an advocate, I'll continue to be an advocate. I'm also so interested and so hard set on finding and bringing back respect and honor and balance to the state Senate. I'll be a state senator that represents all the people on the coast, we who are retired, young people who are just growing up, as well as those who are working. I believe that I can make a difference and will make a difference in the Senate. And I would ask you to send me to Salem where I can show you. Thank you.
Inviting me here this evening. One of the things that I recently have done is I've joined a choir, and each of us have a voice, and to think your voice is not heard is wrong. You can really affect change, each and every one of us. If we get together as a choir, the music sounds a lot better, and we have a voice. We can make changes, we can make hard changes, and we can be respectful of each other while we're making the changes. So I plan to do that when I'm at the state representative. Please vote for me. I need your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, and I do apologize for reading this, but it's been a long day, and I wanted to make sure I got all my points in. So I just wanted to let you know that I've been doing this for some time now, and also in addition to being the elected state representative, I work as a legislators over 16 years, with the last 8 of those 16 years being for this district in its different permutations. So I know the people of this district well and their issues. And I've worked hard for our families and businesses, and I've been part of bringing solutions to the problems and the needs. And some of these results are the Oregon Resilience Plan, which won a prestigious national award and commendation from our president, Obama. And that was a big deal. This plan was built by 169 people. That's a big committee. And they broke into 8 different sectors and they built this plan. And it was a hard job, and Congressman, did you hear that, Mark? Commissioner Lavender was part of the, I just thought I'd throw that out. He's ready to move on here. But he was part, and he should take a bow for this, he was part of this, the recommendations process of getting this plan out, which is what we've been doing over the last few years. Every session we do a little bit more to try to put this plan into action, and it's my pleasure to do it as inexpensively as possible, if we can. Bringing renewable energy projects to our state, because our transmission system's gonna be down when that thing hits, and it also gets down when we're having storms, so that's a huge deal. If we can, okay, this is really hard. And I told you I'd talk about invasive species, but that will be for another time. And I would recommend that you check my voter pamphlet statement. I've got a lot of things on there too that there isn't time to do all this. But they do cause problems. And finally, I believe it's my duty to work with all my colleagues, all 89 of them, and I do. I take my party hat off when I walk through that door the second Monday in January when we convene. When I'm there, I don't care what your proclivities are, anything. If you're D or an R, an I or a green or whatever, you're important to me, and I will always be happy to represent you. That thing just really rattles me. So thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight, and also thank you to those that are listening in electronically. I particularly questions, and I think you can see that honest and decent people can disagree on difficult questions, and that's not because any of us love this state and love the people that live here any less. I think you can see, listing my answers to the questions, I believe in just laying it out, telling you honestly what I believe, and hoping that most of you will agree with me, and also trusting that those of you don't, will at least understand how I came to my decision, and will let me know how you feel about it. To that end, earlier today, I published some comments about all of the ballot measures that are before us. We didn't talk about 96, Debbie mentioned it, which is going to be the largest commitment to Oregon's veterans in the history of our state. Take a look at 96, which will produce $18 million for Oregon vets and could be matched by as much as $4 billion in federal money for people. So many of our vets are doing well, too many of them are not doing well, more subject to suicide, more subject to health care or mental health issues, homelessness and unemployment. 5,000 Oregon vets don't have a place to sleep tonight. Take a look at measure number 96. It's a remarkable honor to represent all of you, or at least those of you that live south of 3rd Street. I hope that your questions will not end tonight, but that you will continue to ask questions, continue to ask hard questions of all of us, and look for answers, as well as sharing your perspective, because we're all in this together. So thank you so very much.
So we will take a 5-minute break. The candidates' pamphlets are all in the back, as well as some of the other paraphernalia that they've brought. I encourage you to stand up, sit down, fight, 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 go to the bathroom, visit, and then we'll bring our county commissioner candidates up. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Still Could come up to the front, please. Candidates, you are being judged on how well you respond to directions. All right, folks, we're ready to get started with our county commissioner candidates for position number 2. I certainly encourage you to continue to get up and get food. There is a lot left, but just do it quietly so that we're not disrupting the flow of questions. It is hard to focus and get those responses in. Definitely don't help. So, same format. You have 3 minutes, and we have a lot of questions for you, which may get at a lot of the things you'd like to bring up. So don't worry that you might have to leave something out. So we'll begin with Jennifer Purcell, and then we'll move with David Yamamoto, and then we'll go back and forth.
One quick comment, if I may, in the beginning. Since there's only 2 of us, can we have 2 minutes per question?
No, because you have a lot more questions. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice try.
Never hurts to try.
All right, are we ready?
We are ready.
Great. Thank you again for hosting this evening's forum. My name is Jennifer Purcell, and I'm a candidate for Tillamook County Commissioner. It has been a privilege to spend the past several months meeting with residents from all over Tillamook County. Our communities are unique and diverse, and whether it's the communities in which we work or live, or communities that come together around common interests such as fishing or farming, school athletics, or the arts, we share many things in common. First and foremost, we all care deeply about this place that we call home. I've been learning about you and what you consider important, and no matter where I am in the county, I hear common concerns and shared hopes for the future. During this campaign, I've spent a great deal of time considering what I can bring to the office of County Commissioner and how I can best serve you. I am a candidate who will represent all of Tillamook County. My community engagement spans a wide range of interests. I'm a member of the Tillamook County Futures Council, a member of the Tillamook Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and a member of the Neocani School District Budget Committee, just to name a few. As a Ford Institute Leadership Program graduate and community ambassador, I've had the opportunity to influence new and emerging leaders in our communities. I've worked as a consultant, bringing people together to share ideas and identify priorities. And as a convener and facilitator, I believe it's my skills in collaborative processes that will provide the leadership needed in the coming years. I have been both a small business owner and an employee of local and state government. I brought my project management, marketing, and strategic planning skills to the public sector, and as a government employee, I have implemented programs that have moved ideas to action. As Tillamook County's Solid Waste Program Coordinator, I oversaw construction of our household hazardous waste facility, which was the first and remains to be the only facility of its kind on the Oregon coast. I've also initiated an annual medication collection event, which in partnership with the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office led to a unique permanent disposal option for unused pharmaceuticals. I'm currently a member of the Governor's Regional Solutions Team, representing DEQ in Tillamook, Clatsop, and Columbia counties. My work includes coordinating with other federal agencies, streamlining regulations, serving as a resource for communities, ports, special districts, and new and expanding businesses. As County Commissioner, I will work to ensure opportunities for all of our citizens, focusing on growing our economy, strengthening our communities, and protecting our quality of life. I'm a strong leader with a balanced and collaborative approach to problem solving, and I have the skills and experience to represent this county well. It would be my privilege to serve as your next County Commissioner. Thank you. And your time cards are upside down.
Mr. Yamamoto?
They got the point across.
Thank you to Lisa and AAUW and the college and the Headlight Herald. Appreciate this forum very much. My name is Dave Yamamoto. I'm a resident of Pacific City. I started off in my business career in the forest products industry. I spent 23 years in the forest products industry, had my own business, and did 23 years later as general manager and sales manager of 2 wood preserving companies. We did specialty wood items that all came out of the Pacific Northwest, utility poles, highway wood, things of that nature. Moving to Oregon over 20 years ago, I became a long-term care specialist, sitting across the kitchen table, visiting with seniors every day, talking about things that people don't want to talk about. What happens when you get older and might need care, very difficult. And for the past year and a half, I'm now a realtor in Pacific City with Windermere, and I'm loving that opportunity also. I've been encouraged by many people throughout the county to really make this run for county commissioner. That got me thinking, what does a county commissioner do? Being a county commissioner requires understanding and leadership skills in a wide range of areas. And if you look at my brochure, and I hope you pick one up, you'll see that I have been involved in over 20 different organizations, and I think there is a good fit with what county commissioners really do. When it comes to healthcare, I've been a licensed life and health insurance agent in the state of Oregon for over 20 years. I'm very proud of the fact that I helped roll out the Healthy Kids program in the state of Oregon, in Tillamook County, and this was back in 2008, and with the help of Commissioner Lappart, who convened a meeting for us. I'm also, economic development is also a big area in Tillamook County. I'm a member of the Tillamook County Economic Development Council Small Business Advisory Committee. When it comes to land use policy, when you look at Tillamook County, Tillamook North are mostly incorporated cities. From Tillamook South, we are all unincorporated areas. I've been a board member of the Pacific City Woods Community Advisory Committee for the past 6 or 7 years, and I'm currently chair of the Land Use Committee. Land use issues are extremely important. When it comes to infrastructure, roads, things that roads, rail, I'm a member of the Northwest Area Commission on Transportation. Northwest Area Commission on Transportation does terrific work in bringing money to Tillamook County and the Northwest. Ocean policy, I've been involved in ocean policy for quite a few years. I was a member of TESPAC, the Territorial Sea Plan Advisory Committee. The state of Oregon actually owns the first 3 nautical miles of ocean. We control that first 3 miles. In the years that I was with TESPAC, it's unfortunate, but I just found that much of the ocean policy is coming from the federal government or the state government or international agencies without regard to the people that really live and work on the Oregon coast. And I feel that that's a travesty. When it comes to tourism, law enforcement, I'm getting the red card. So please look at my brochure and you can see all the different things that I am involved in. Thank you.
Alrighty, if we do this right, If we do this right, we might be able to get through all of these questions. We've got some very good questions for you this evening. We're going to start off with hard one. Can you give us an example that shows you have shown visionary leadership?
Are we starting with?
I will start with Mr. Yamamoto.
Well, so let me go back to the Healthy Kids program. When this is back in 2008, being a licensed life and health insurance agent, the state legislature rolled out what we call the Healthy Kids program. They wanted to make sure that every child in the state of Oregon, age 19 and under, had health care, appropriate health care. This included health care, this included dental, optometric, mental health. In going throughout the county, I just noticed that people were not talking about the Healthy Kids program, which was, depending on income, it was absolutely free to get your kids covered. That's when I went to Commissioner Lappart and explained the Healthy Kids program to Mark, and he immediately convened a meeting of the county health department and Adventist Health and the Reinhardt Clinic and the Division on Children and Families. We came out of that 2-hour meeting with a plan to really roll out the Healthy Kids program in Tillamook County. And it was a success then, and it's still rolling now, and it is still a success.
Thank
A couple of things that come to mind. I have approximately 20 years experience in strategic planning and have brought that to the work that I've been able to participate in Tillamook County. As a member of the Tillamook County Futures Council, originally as a staff member, I oversaw the update to the county's strategic vision, which is really the opportunity for citizens to identify what's important to you for the future of Tillamook County. And the Futures Council is a steward of implementing that and working with community partners to ensure that comes to fruition. The other that comes to mind is in my work with the Tillamook Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. About 8 years ago, we initiated a strategic plan, worked with community partners and stakeholders to better understand what the community expected from the chamber, and have worked over those years to implement that vision and implement that plan in a way that has made the chamber very relevant to small business development and economic development in Tillamook County.
Thank you. Next, I'm so sorry about that. A question about our Salmonberry Trail. So we have spent $1.2 million on planning the Salmonberry Trail before a study on the economic benefit to the county. And further, we are told that in the future, the property taxpayers will pay for any trail maintenance. How do you justify this?
Thank you. I think that's mine to start, yes. So the Salmonberry Trail, for those who aren't familiar, is a proposed trail that would follow the alignment of the Port of Tillamook Bay Railroad from Tillamook into the Salmonberry and into western Washington County. Currently, the feasibility of that trail is being evaluated, and I am a member of the Coastal Segment Advisory Committee that's beginning to look at the options available for development of that trail. We will be looking at the cost-benefit analysis. I have not heard the proposal that Tillamook County residents would be paying for trail maintenance. I would be very supportive of a Friends of organization. That's an example of something that's been implemented in other trail systems, where maybe a nonprofit organization could be created to raise funds and invest time and resources for folks that are supportive of that type of activity.
Thank you.
The Salmonberry Trail does have terrific economic development potential for Tillamook County. But the issue here, and this is a long-range plan. I mean, people are thinking it's going to take generations before this really comes to fruition. There are issues with how we pay for the development currently and how we pay for upkeep. You have issues of emergency personnel access to the more remote portions of the trail. These are all things that need to be worked out. Also, that's the first I heard that property taxes would be used to pay for these things, and I think that could be a real problem. There is not unanimous support of the Salmonberry Trail in Tillamook County. I think we need more outreach, absolutely more outreach. We need to figure out exactly who is in favor of the Salmonberry Trail, who opposes the Salmonberry Trail, and if people oppose the Salmonberry Trail, we need to find out why, and we need to work through those issues. Because this has the potential to be a very, very expensive project, not only in its initial development, but in maintenance, in ongoing maintenance.
Thank you. So the next two questions are on our local transient lodging tax. The first is, can you describe how the transient tax could be amended?
That's an interesting question. So being amended, I'm hoping people are talking about how we can utilize more than 30% of the transient lodging tax within Tillamook County that does not have to go towards tourism promotion. At least I'm thinking that's what the question is about. So here we're going back to our state legislature, especially our Coastal Caucus. Our Coastal Caucus in particular, because we get so many people coming to the Oregon coast as visitors. They are going to be primary in trying to get the legislative process changed so we can use more than 30%. It's going to be an uphill battle. The hospitality industry is very, very strong. Is Debbie Boone still here? Debbie's in the back. Yes, she has. They have tried this before, and it's an uphill battle. But it's absolutely something that we need to do. During the summer months, when we get thousands and thousands and thousands of additional people coming here, our infrastructure really cannot handle it. We're on our own there, and that is not fair.
So for those who aren't aware, the transient lodging tax revenue is split with 70% required by state law to go to tourism promotion and tourism-related facilities. 30% is at the discretion of the jurisdiction that implements the transient lodging tax. And you heard many of our state legislators speaking to the difficulty in changing that ratio. I would be supportive of reevaluating that, but it really would be in concert with our state partners. Now, in Tillamook County, that 30% that's at the discretion of the jurisdiction, in Tillamook County, they made the decision to dedicate that directly to roads. I am in strong agreement with that decision and would not advocate for changing that. The 70% that can go to tourism promotion and advertising currently is allocated with a portion going to promotions, a portion going to a grant program where communities can apply for those funds, a portion going to county facilities, and a portion that the Futures Council will actually be embarking shortly on community meetings to hear from residents of Tillamook County. What are the assets that are important to you, and how would you like those tourism investments to be made?
Great. So this is a follow-up question and specific to some of those allocations. Do you support a substantial allocation of TLT funds to the Tillamook County Fairgrounds for capital improvements, expanded services, and building partnerships?
Do you want me to start with that one?
Yes, I would appreciate if you just go back and forth.
Super.
I think that you started the first question.
So the Tillamook County Fairgrounds as a county facility, I am an advocate of dedicating some of our transient lodging tax to county facilities. For me, what is important is that those start with a plan. And the Fairgrounds is currently embarking on a master planning effort, and I think transient lodging tax revenue can be a resource then for implementing that master plan. Another example is the Kiwanda parking area, the Kiwanda access down in Pacific City. Again, a master planning effort is underway. I think transient lodging tax revenue could be used then to implement that master plan. So when it comes to investing our transient lodging tax revenue in county facilities, for me, master planning and strategic planning should come first. And I think that transient lodging tax revenue should be seen as a resource to implement strategic plans and master plans for county facilities.
So I'm rolling out a series of community meetings, and we're going to start them in November, all up and down Tillamook County. And what we're doing is a visioning exercise. We want to know exactly what residents of Tillamook County want these transient lodging tax monies to go for. I was on the original committee that brought the transient lodging tax to ballot. We were predicting $1.2 to $1.4 million coming into the county. We're currently at $3 million a year. And it's nonstop. It goes on every year. In the past, we've given money, it seems like, to whoever screamed the loudest. That is not a plan. The Futures Council has been tasked with developing a plan, broad vision on how we should really be looking to the future. How are we going to spend this money the most effectively? When it comes to the fairgrounds, everyone in this room has been to the Tillamook Fair. It is known throughout the state. It is known internationally as one of the best county fairs in the nation for a reason. Unfortunately, there have been some issues with the county fairgrounds. They've been going into some disrepair. Do we need to make sure that the county fairgrounds are well taken care of? Absolutely.
This is about tourists themselves who are paying those transient lodging tax. It's two questions. I'm going to combine them. They're very similar to one another. So more traffic, more fatalities, more tourists year-round. Why more tourists?
So I think this one is mine to start.
Okay.
So when you look at more tourists, yes, our tourism promotion is bringing tourists to Tillamook County, but we're really focusing on the off-season. You have over 100 people a day moving into the Portland metro area, and the Oregon coast is their playground. Whether we are spending these transient lodging tax dollars for promotion in the off-season or not, we are still going to be inundated with more and more tourists all the time. When it comes to traffic and fatalities, it's a real issue, again, because our population triples and quadruples and quintuples in July and August. It's very, very difficult to handle them. We talk about fatalities. I'm from Pacific City. In the past 2 years, and now 2.5 years, we've had 6 fatalities on Cape Kiwanda. We've been working diligently with the Coastal Caucus, Arnie Roblin and all, and we have been able to procure some state rangers. Our beaches are all state-owned. Tillamook County does not own our beaches. So in concert with the state, we've been able to bring this under control to a point.
All right, thank you. Why more tourists? Well, tourism is a part of our economy in Tillamook County. It is important to me that tourism be seen as part of our economic development portfolio, but not the silver bullet, not the answer to our economic needs. What I think is really important, as David mentions, the marketing is driven by bringing folks here in what's considered the off-season or the shoulder season, but the reality is that we have a wonderful place to visit. It's a wonderful place to live, which is why we're here. And what's important is that we find ways to define that tourism experience and not allow the tourism economy to define us. In terms of law enforcement, I would be a proponent of revisiting that 70-30 split, if for no other reason than for law enforcement resources. Our local jurisdictions staff law enforcement for our year-round population, and it is putting our residents, our tourists, and our first responders at risk to not be fully funding those services.
Requested a one-word answer. Simple question. Are you pro-development?
Who goes first?
I believe it's you, Mr. Yamamoto.
Yes.
Okay.
One word? Yes, but?
That's fair.
That's not fair.
Okay, so how about this? Why do we have higher gas prices than other coastal towns? Is the tax money included, I assume the gas tax money, included coming back here for our roads?
And that, I think, is mine. So what's interesting about our gas taxes is that they are allocated based on vehicle registration. The earlier panel was talking about the number of constituents that visit here versus the number of our constituents that drive on roads elsewhere. Gas tax revenues are allocated not based on road usage, but by residency. And that really puts not only our coastal communities, but our rural communities at a disadvantage.
When you look at Tillamook County, we are a long county. We've got over 90 miles of beach, and not that many gas stations, and not that many people. We have more cows in Tillamook County than we have people. So our opportunities for competition in the gasoline industry in Tillamook County is very small. I'm not sure that we pay more per gallon in Tillamook County than other coastal communities. I know it's a fact that if you go into the valley, absolutely, we are paying more. And the issue here is, again, with many of our tourists, that our tourists come here, drive on our roads, they fill up, they know gas is more expensive on the coast, they fill up at home before they come here, they come here and utilize our roads, big motor homes and pickups and automobiles, and they try to get home before they need to fill up again. Is that fair? It is not. I think we need to find some sort of a mile rate. I think we need to think outside the box, the gas tax.
Great. So can you give an example of a hard, equitable deal you made where all parties, private and public, sacrificed for the highest common good of all?
Wow.
That's a great question.
Well, I was, excuse me, I was involved in the territorial sea plan issue. We were trying to bring ocean energy, find appropriate areas for ocean energy on the Oregon coast. A long, involved process, really a horrible process from the beginning. Many different factions involved. The issue with ocean energy is, at this point in time, it is not affordable. When we pay 7.3 cents per kilowatt hour using hydropower, and ocean energy companies are talking about 20, 25, 30 cents per kilowatt hour. I mean, it really doesn't work. And yet the state legislature and the federal government was really pushing us in that direction. I'm not sure that everyone is happy with the way this turned out. But I'm hoping that the residents of Tillamook County and Oregon are happy. There was a bill called 2216 which wanted to raise everyone's electric rates in order to pay for one project that the Department of Energy wanted to put off of Coos Bay. Unfortunately, that one went away. So was everybody happy with that? Unfortunately not, but I think enough people were happy with the outcome.
That is an excellent question and a really difficult one to answer. I think I am going to talk a little bit about my work with the Regional Solutions team. For those that aren't familiar, I work on a team of state agency representatives that work on tough economic development projects, complex projects. For us, the region is the North Coast. And as the representative for the Department of Environmental Quality, working on an economic development team is a economic development and environmental protection. I think what's really important is, as a community, we need to balance those two. So often economic development and day-to-day the work that the Regional Solutions team is involved in, and the projects that we're working on the North Coast, is finding a way to balance those two.
So I'm going to ask a question that was asked of the state candidates, a little bit shorter version of it. What can be done to mitigate the effects of the National Marine Fisheries Service biological opinion, which we talked about in a little bit more detail with the state folks?
Sure. For folks who aren't familiar, a lawsuit was brought against FEMA related to the impacts of the implementation of the National Flood Insurance Program, implying that the implementation of the flood insurance program actually harmed habitat for endangered species. In our case, that's largely salmon. In the state of Washington, that lawsuit resulted in the plaintiffs winning that decision. In Oregon, FEMA came to a settlement agreement, which resulted in a consultation with the National Marine Fisheries. Recently, the biological opinion was issued from that consultation that indicated that some changes need to be made in terms of development in the floodplain and what would be required in order for communities to retain their participation in the National Flood Insurance Program. What's interesting is that that settlement agreement really points to FEMA not agreeing. They do not agree that the National Flood Insurance Program results in harm to habitat for endangered species. Currently, the state is working on evaluating that biological opinion, evaluating the alternatives that have been proposed. And in terms of, we heard from our state representatives that they need to work with their federal partners. We as county commissioners need to work with our state partners and the Department of Land Conservation and Development around how those rules will apply in Tillamook County.
Lisa, can I ask you to repeat the question once more,
Sure.
please?
What can be done to mitigate the effects of the NMFS buyout, the National Marine Fisheries Service biological opinion?
So I wrote an op-ed piece to the Headlight Herald and the Pacific City Sun and Pioneer. And if you pick up my brochure in the back, a copy of that op-ed piece is in there, and I would like you to read it. It's a very complex issue, very difficult to answer in just 1 minute. This is going to be devastating for Tillamook County. I mean, I got agreement from Department of Land Conservation and Development that it's going to affect Tillamook County worse than any other county in the state, and that's absolutely the case. Not only will it affect, but it's going to affect our dairy industry in a huge way. At the same time, there is some wiggle room in this biological opinion, and we need to be working on that now. When you look at Tillamook County, they're talking about clean water and habitat restoration for salmon. When you look at all the counties in Oregon, Tillamook County is by far the furthest ahead when it comes to clean water and habitat restoration for salmon. Our dairy farmers, Tillamook County Soil and Water Conservation District, our watershed councils over the past decade is cleaner, and habitat restoration has been an ongoing issue for many, many years. We're not getting anything for that at all. This is a one-size-fits-all biological opinion for the state of Oregon. It does not fit Tillamook County well at all.
How do you transfer the salesperson's skills where you seek to do the best for yourself or company, living close to the rules, to then serving the public good with a broad set of interests? But it's asking, but I'll read it again. How do you transfer the salesperson's skills, and frankly, the skills that you bring to the table, where you seek to do the best for yourself or your company and live close to the rules, to then switch to serving the public good with a broad set of interests?
So I don't think those two thoughts are mutually exclusive at all. I have been in sales for almost all of my life. You do the right thing for the client. You do. Being a long-term care specialist for the past 20-some years, sitting across the kitchen table with seniors, talking about very, very difficult issues. Well, it was my philosophy, and it still is. Long-term care insurance, especially, is so it's clear in their own minds whether this makes sense for their family or not. Those types of ideas are not anathema to what should happen in government. You have to have an open mind, you have to be able to talk with people, and you need to be able to find solutions. Again, I don't think there is any disconnect at all in that statement.
Super. I think we can all agree that the breadth of a county commissioner's portfolio is significant. And it's important that our county commissioners have experience in a wide range of community service. I'm going to take a little bit different spin on this. As a salesperson, part of your job is to understand what the needs of your customer are. And I think in terms of being a community volunteer, it's really about matching the programs and services with the needs of your constituents, your community, whatever the organization is that you are serving. In addition, I think about my skills in negotiation and my experience in that, and it does come down to sometimes thinking outside the box, finding common ground, and it comes down to looking at common goals. And in some ways, those are relevant and consistent with the work of a salesperson.
Great. And our last question, and this will lead nicely into your summations, I'm sure. What is the one quality you have that differentiates you from your opponent?
Right. As I mentioned a bit about throughout this campaign, I think that my experience as a small business owner, coupled with my experience working for local government and state government, is a unique advantage. I think would lend me to representing you well.
Well, I'm sort of along the same lines as Jennifer here, but I have a lot of private industry. I've worked on a lot of committees and agency work that deal with the government, but I've never worked for the government. This will be a first for me. But I've watched the county commission very closely. It does great work, and that needs to. I've always told everyone that would ever ask me, Commissioner Laphard is the hardest working person that I know, and I am going to try to emulate that the best I can. You see him all over the county. I don't care if it's north, central, south, it's late at night, it's early in the morning, if there's a meeting going on, or if it's just coffee. You'll find Commissioner Laphard there. And I hope to emulate that as best I can. We don't agree on everything. But that's not what being a county commissioner is all about. You don't always agree with everything everyone else does. But you have to have an open door policy, you have to be able to listen to people, and you have to be able to find solutions.
Great. So we will now move into your final 2 minutes, and Mr. Yamamoto, you get to start that.
Thank you. So, over the years, I've become involved in many facets of Tillamook County life, and I'm committed to ensuring that this community retains its traditional hometown character. Every aspect of my life revolves around Tillamook County. In my business and volunteer activities, I've taken a leadership role and found myself to be effective in developing productive collaboration. I have a real willingness to listen to all sides of an issue and the ability to bring both sides together and offer fresh perspective. I feel strongly it's important to give back to a community that has given so much to me and my wife, Terry. My candidacy is about the future direction of Tillamook County, bringing a better quality of life and keeping the values and fiscal responsibility that have made this a great place to live, work, and recreate. While I have been able to make a real difference in Tillamook County by volunteering while continuing to work full-time, I'm looking forward to being able to apply my skills on a full-time basis as your next Tillamook County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you again to AAUW, the Headlight Herald, the college, and the Chamber for hosting today's event. I thank especially the Chamber for live streaming this event so that a couple of my kids can be watching from Seattle and Argentina. So thank you for that. Now, if they're not watching, they'll have sufficient times and exciting opportunities. And all of you have ideas about how we can move forward, whether it is our economy, the environment, transportation, housing, taxes, tourism, or many other topics. You all share a passion for making our county the best it can be. We cannot rely on one-size-fits-all answers, and while we may have some of the same concerns for the future, the solutions will look different from community to community. The power of our county going forward will be in working together to create a framework that allows for those unique solutions to be implemented. We can address complex issues and move ideas to action. I am a candidate who will represent all of Tillamook County. Commissioner, a unique combination of public and private sector experience. As a former small business owner, I understand the value of hard work. As a former county employee, I understand how local governments function. As a state employee, I have developed relationships with regional, state, and federal partners. And as a community volunteer, I have worked to grow our economy, strengthen our communities, and advocate for our youth and education. I want to be county commissioner because I care deeply for the people and places of Tillamook County. I'm a strong leader with a balanced and collaborative approach to problem solving, and I have the skills and experience to represent Tillamook County well. As we prepare for Election Day, I'm asking for your vote. Vote Jennifer Purcell. It would be my privilege to serve as your next county commissioner.
Well, again, I'd like to thank AAUW, who not only does awesome work in this community, but also provided all the food this evening. The Headlight Herald for their commitment to getting the information out to the public, to Coast Radio, to the Chamber for live streaming this, and to all of you for being a part of this great process we call democracy. Thank you very much.